she stated and reminded us that Roe v. Wade, overturning Roe v. Wade, is not going to be the end of abortions. It would be the end of safe and legal abortions, and we cannot let that happen. And that is why we are here today. We are here today to remind the anti-choice Supreme Court and anti-choice politicians that we will not allow them to strip us of our human rights.
Happy International Women's Day to everybody. Amen. It's probably strange to see a reverend up here talking about abortion rights, at least on this side of the debate. But I want us to know that what is passed for dogmatism and orthodoxy over the last half of a century hasn't always been the way the religious people have addressed abortion in this country. I'm not just the pastor of Echo Park United Methodist Church. I'm a part of the Religious Coalition for Reproductive Choice. And the Religious Coalition for Reproductive Choice traces its origins back to the days when Howard Moody at Judson Memorial Baptist Church in New York City founded the Clergy Coalition for abortion rights. And Howard Moody drew together a bunch of clergy people from around the entire United States to help women go and get safe abortions before Roe v. Wade. The Reverend Howard Moody drew together clergy people from around this country who worked with women to get them safe abortions prior to Roe v. Wade. Straight on. To help them go to places like Mexico and Canada. They checked out the doctors in advance, and they put their own lives and they put their own freedom at risk in order to help women be able to get abortions because of the fact that they, as a result of their faith, whether they were Jews, Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, believed that a woman's right to choose how to use her body is even in issues of reproduction, that that right was fundamental and could not be violated. He had seen the carnage. We've all heard about the carnage before Roe v. Wade when women were unable to get safe abortions. We understand that there are reasons that women have for wanting and needing an abortion. And we don't want to go back to the days when all that the only option that women had was either to put their lives at risk or to carry a baby to full term. We don't want to go back to those days. And to say that anti-abortion is fundamental to the religious message of this country is not true. It's just not true at all. And that there is, within the religious community, people who continue to fight and struggle, who are just as fervent about wanting to protect women's rights to an abortion as there are those who wish to deny a woman's right to have an abortion. And there are religious people all over this country today that are celebrating the rights that women have here and fighting against the efforts to take those rights away, such as they're being taken away in places like Texas and Mississippi. We need to make sure that that doesn't happen in California, but more than that, we need to make sure that those rights are restored in those places where they're taken away. And so I'm here to say that the scriptures of the Christian church, the scriptures of the Jewish church, the scriptures of the Muslim faith, none of these come out with an absolute ban on abortion. They come out in favor of the right, they come out in favor of a woman's life and protecting a woman's life. And to say that the right to life is what leads our opposition to abortion, that is simply not true, because if it was, that people would want to protect women's lives. They'd want to protect the lives of children after the children are born. But what we need to make sure is that women have safe access to health care that is essential, and abortions are essential. And we need to make sure that children, once they are born and wanted and loved, are given what they need to thrive. And we don't need to create children who are unwanted, unneeded, who won't thrive because of the fact that we take away a woman's right to choose. And so I'm going to read the statement of Jim Farratt. Now, Jim is, as you heard, he's a gay man who goes all the way back to the time of the Stonewall riots, and he writes these words, and I want us to listen carefully, because these were written from a time before Roe v. Wade. These were written during a time when abortion was not safe and abortion was not legal. He writes, in 1962, I lived in the 6th floor walk-up on West 10th Street. And on the 3rd floor was this very exotic woman. She was a cabaret performer. She had jet black hair. I used to go hear her at the Blue Angel on 8th Street. One morning she called me at 6:30. She said, Jim, would you come down here right now? I went down. She still had an apartment with a bathtub in the kitchen. You have to be old like me to understand. I looked at her and it was filled with red water. She said, you must go to the drugstore and get me maximum strength Kotex. Now you have to understand what that meant to this young gay man. I was embarrassed. Those were women's things over there, but I did it and I came back. And she was dead. Dead. Because she had a botched abortion over in what was the meat market at that time. That is not a religious value. That is not a value that comes to us from God. The value that comes to us from God would have allowed that woman to live. And so, my friends, thank you for being here today. Thank you not only to all the women who had abortions after Roe v. Wade, but all the women who were strong enough and brave enough to have them before Roe v. Wade, too. This fundamental right of women's freedom cannot be abridged for any purpose whatsoever. Thank you for listening.